Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Leafs Convo podcast for Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, Ontario, vanguardne.ca. I'm Norman James in London, Ontario, joined as always by my podcast associate, Mike Augello, who's in Buffalo, New York, the site of the Leafs 4-2 victory over the Sabres, less than 24 hours ago. Michael, you were at the game because, you are the predominant media personality from Buffalo, New York. So you had to be there. Yeah. What were your impressions of it?
Good morning, Norman. My impressions were that the Leafs thoroughly outplayed the Sabres for most of the game. But if you look at the score and you look at what the result was during the game, you would hardly have any evidence of it because the Sabres were leading 1-0. Which, the goal wasn't Garrett Sparks' fault. It was a Middlestat goal where he roofed the puck. So, but they had numerous power play opportunities. They had lots of chances 5-on-5, and Carter Hutton was really, really good early in the game. They finally broke through in the second period, but I'm just concerned about the fact that, for once they started on time, as Mike Babcock would say. They dominated play, and they couldn't cash in. And you could write that off as it was a hot goaltender who was having a good night. But, they were shut out by Nashville. They only scored 2 goals against Tampa Bay. Buffalo is not exactly, a shutdown team like the Devils championships of the 90s. And they had a tough time breaking through at times. They had a ton of shots, but they didn't convert until, their big guys, Matthews, Tavares, Marner, cashed in.
How do you feel what they're lacking against the Sabres will bite them against the Bruins?
Well, they were optimistic after the game. They were saying this was a second good effort in a row. They considered the effort in Nashville a good effort because they played well defensively. I guess they're trying to be glass is half full rather than what most of the fan base is, which is glass is half empty. So for that, I think that they think that they're charting a better course. We'll see. Right now, I know they're within 4 points of Boston. Boston now has a game in hand. I really don't think that the pursuit of home ice advantage is realistic any longer. I said yesterday in writing on Hockey Buzz that I would advocate them using Sparks and rotating him and Anderson off and on the last 8 games of the season, because really you need a rested Freddie Anderson to have any chance against the Bruins. So I would do that, but do I think that Babcock will do that? No, I don't think they'll start resting Anderson until they're mathematically eliminated.
No matter what Mike Babcock does, Mike, we're all dissatisfied. This is the Leafs Convo podcast for Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, vanguardne.ca. 20 shots against in Nashville, 24 shots against in Buffalo. No matter how many goals the Leafs have scored, no matter how much we disagree with the amount of ice time guys like Austin Matthews are getting, the fact that the Leafs have given up less than 25 shots in 2 straight games, I don't care who the opponents are. One's a really good one, one's a mediocre one. That is a positive.
When you limit the other team's shots and play a more defensive game, and this is more the case against Nashville than it was last night in Buffalo, when you play a defensive game and you limit their opportunities, you also have to be able to take advantage of that by converting on yours. And they really didn't do that in Nashville. They went 0-for-3 on the power play. They didn't have many good scoring chances 5-on-5. Last night they had scoring chances, but again, it's the opponent. This is a team that's not making the playoffs. This is a team that has not put 2 wins together in a row since the 10-game winning streak earlier in the season. So the Sabres are, a team that's going to be in the draft lottery and has a lot of flaws. And the Leafs took advantage of that, sweeping the season series for the first time in franchise history, which I'm still stunned at. But they need to build on that, and they need to improve going into the playoffs because they're going to have to play more like the last 2 games defensively.
This team is in the process of a reset, a late reset. Our last podcast on YouTube and just about everywhere you can find our work delves into the cautious optimism surrounding the reset and whether it's too late or who cares. This is what has to be done no matter the juncture of the season. Mike, the point between now and game 82 and then the start of the playoffs, April 10th, is to reconstruct the system, reconstruct the philosophy to limiting not only chances, but limiting shots and ultimately limiting goals against, playing a defense first kind of system. And then you get into a situation with Boston, no matter how many hits they want to inflict on you, how much pain they want to inflict on you. If you stick to that defensive game and you're trailing 1 or 2-0 in the third period, but the game is close and it's a defensive game, you bury your chances on the power play. You put yourself in a position where you can actually score, tie that game, and win that darn thing. If you want to forget about playing defensive hockey and engage in a slugfest with a team that might not be able to score as well as you, but can kick the shit out of you anytime it wants, and has one of the most dominant players in the history of sports on their blue line, and has the pedigree and the experience of knocking you all over the rink, you will lose. Through 2 games, I'm impressed, but it continues with the Rangers and must continue on through game 82 so that this team gives itself a chance to succeed and succeed in the playoffs and do something it must do before it continues on this path towards winning a Stanley Cup, and that's beat the Boston Bruins, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your sentiments. I don't know how realistic it is that you can do a reset after 73, 74
then
games of playing sort of fast.
There's fire wagon hockey, Mike, and I hate to interrupt you, but you know as well as I do. What I'm saying is I'm warning something we know already. You get into a slugfest with the Bruins, you're done.
But the thing is, it's what course of action gives you the best chance to win. It's playing the way that you've played all year, or playing a game that clearly your team is not comfortable playing. Which I think playing more strapped down defensively that's the case. I don't think they play that game well because they don't have the personnel that fits it, and that's what, I think that's what Mike Babcock's comments about team depth and about, guys like adding guys or veteran experience or whatever his comments are about. That's what I think they're about. I think that he realizes that he does not have the type of team and the type of players to go into a series against Boston and go tit for tat against the Bruins playing a defensive game. They won't win that game because the Bruins do it better and they can score when they.
I understand that, but so what is what happens now? Mike Babcock can undercut the moves of Kyle Dubas through his veiled comments, and I agree. Look, the team. I don't know if the team is ready with the right arsenal to beat the Bruins and continue on 3 more series after taking down the Bruins. A defensive-minded game is at the core of being successful. The team has the capability offensively to dispatch itself and go nuts when it has to. Score on the power play. Go through a run in the second period where things get pear-shaped and you can pick up a couple of goals. We know the team has that capability. But if we think that it lacks the understanding and the team buy-in for defense first, that's fine. But the season continues on.
It may very well be a scenario that feeds into an eventual first-round loss. But again, if you look at the way that this team is built, now obviously they're going to try to get some of their players back. I'm not encouraged that Jake Gardiner will be back this year. They probably will get Travis Dermott back. You may see Callie Rosen called up from the Marlies and inserted in a bottom pairing role because obviously Mike Babcock is not happy with his options of Ozaganov, Hall, or Marinson on the bottom pairing. There are things that you can do leading into the playoffs that will improve your chances. One of the things, like I said, is he's getting Anderson a bit of rest. Changing up your lines a bit to maximize, the abilities of your star players. I mean, I think, they're going to need Matthews and they're going to need Tavares and they're going to need Marner to step up against the Bruins to have a chance to win. So there are things that Babcock can implement. I will continue to say what I've said forever. William Nylander is a complimentary player. The play that he made last night on the Tavares goal where he carried the puck cut into the middle was brilliant. It was great. He's got to do that more often. But right now, he's a facilitator for Matthews. He's the playmaker, and Matthews is the sniper on that line. So, so they need their complementary players to step up. They need their stars to play like stars, and they need Freddie Anderson to be all world. If that happens, then they can beat the Bruins. If that doesn't happen, I think anybody who logically looks at this series and sees Bergeron, Chara, Marchand, Pasternak now back, and Tuukka Rask is going to pick the Bruins. Does that mean the Leafs can't win? No. It means it's going to be a tough task.
I don't know what to say other than just let them play the way they want to play, I guess. Warts and all. Be your talented yet not complete selves and see what you can do. Give these guys that are hungry to play extra ice time, ride your horses, maybe make a couple of line changes, and just go to town, Mike, because I'm getting a sense from a lot of fans, and I mean, some of your comments are, look, this team's not necessarily built to win it all right now, but let's see the way they're built, how much they can actually win with what they've got. Let's see what the Maple Leafs produce against the Rangers. And I don't know, keep our fingers crossed and keep hopeful that the best for this team has yet to come, but it's going to come soon.
Thanks, Norman.
The Leafs Convo is brought to you by Vanguard Northeast Realty. With over 15 years' experience, Vanguard provides superior level of service for commercial real estate tenants and owners. For more information, visit vanguardne.ca.